Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 49 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. Today is Sunday, October 16th, and we have got some local sports that we are going to talk about tonight, namely Effingham High School football. Hearts got their fifth win this week, and so they are playoff eligible. And at least hearing Coach Brett Hefner talk, it sounds like he's pretty certain that 5 wins will get him in no matter what happens in week 9 against Highland. But
we got a lot of points.
Yep. So we'll talk about that first. I think we've got some other stuff to sprinkle in there. We've got the NTC all-conference baseball team came out, so we'll give that a read through. We've got some state tennis qualifiers to talk about from the area. There's always
we have a soccer regional to touch base on.
Okay, you've got that on under control. I hope I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't look it up.
I'm going to tell you a story before we go on about soccer.
Okay. And
when I was fresh out of college, coaching and teaching at St. Anthony, so right out of school. So this was like 87-ish, 88.
Yeah.
I think it was my last year, maybe 88, 89, my last year. And Dave Bartlett was the athletic director and the head basketball coach. And he was like, it was either my third year or my fourth year. And he said, "Hey, I think soccer is coming to the IHSA and we should maybe get ahead of this." He says, "In your PE classes, why don't you start spending a lot of time on some soccer skills and such, and let's see if we can get a jump start on this." And I said, "Huh?" And we maybe tried a little, probably not the right. I could have been like the soccer guru had I submerse myself in that at the time, but I tried and I didn't get it.
I tell you, when I was at the Daily News, I covered it a little bit because we needed to, and we had teams make a run in the postseason. We needed to cover it, and I got pretty comfortable with it for a while. It's all since kind of escaped me, but
You slept since then.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I got to where I had some of the terminology down. I knew what I was looking for out there on the field. So I could at least, it's kind of the same way with volleyball. There was a time in my life when I could write a pretty convincing piece, on a game, and people.
Well, if the people weren't there, how would they know what you're writing is not exactly what happened?
I guess, but we'll get to soccer. I think we should lead off with the football, though.
Yes, I agree.
Should we
just that story popped in my head and I had to share it.
Should we save football for last, or should we do it first? What do you think? This is our production meeting happening after I press record.
I don't care. You make the call. You're the producer. I'm just the booker.
You're right about that. That's for sure.
I failed miserably tonight. I thought I had a really, really good couple of guests lined up, and I thought we were going to do it, and we just haven't had follow through. So that's a work in progress.
People are busy. We'll keep that one on the back.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Why don't we go ahead and talk about the soccer? Why not? Are you prepared for that, or did you actually have soccer to talk about?
Oh yeah, I had the St. Anthony Regional.
Okay.
Was Newton versus Tatapa. Okay. Newton won 2-1. My understanding is for most of the first half, Newton pretty well controlled things. And I don't know when they had the lead at 2-0, if it was in the first half or early second half. T-Town finally scored maybe midway through the second half. I think Ethan Taylor scored to make it 2-1. And, they kind of, at least had that glimmer the rest of the way, and it ended up that way. Now, T-Town ended the year 16-3-1, maybe 18-3-1. I think it was 16-3-1, and two of those three losses were to Newton. They beat Mattoon once or twice, which Mattoon's usually a really, really good soccer program. So the Newton Eagles are going on. They've actually built up a nice little soccer program over there, Newton. They really have.
Well, and kind of getting back to that what I was talking about earlier, Josh Cottrell, he coached the T-Town soccer team for quite a while.
Yep.
I believe his story was basically that he kind of taught himself the game so that
I'm sure.
be able to coach, and they had some really, really strong years under him.
Yeah, like around like 07, 08, 09, I think they got to a sectional final or maybe a super sectional.
Yeah, they definitely, I remember following them to there was a postseason game at Metro East Lutheran.
Ooh, okay.
I forget if that was a sectional. I think that might have been a super sectional, actually.
Yeah.
Because I just remember going down that way because there's a restaurant in Edwardsville, or actually Glen Carbon, technically, that I really like to eat at. And does
it have a name?
54th Street. Yes.
Okay.
We go there all the time, and I had to make sure that I built in enough time in my trip to get there early enough to go grab a steak sandwich before
there you go.
But anyway, that is not very interesting to people. But anyway, yeah, it's it shows Josh is he's a good guy, a smart guy, and he figured out.
He did a good job with the program. He really did. Adam Went does it now, and his wife is his assistant coach, Susie.
Yeah.
So Susie's a trainer and the assistant soccer coach.
Seems to me
they do a good job, and the reason they do a good job is they have they've got a lot of kids in a park district program, and those soccer players, they all officiate the games. It's just like here at Effingham. I'm kind of shocked Effingham and St. Anthony's programs haven't gotten stronger, because the amount of kids playing soccer every Saturday morning out here at Evergreen Park, there's like 1,000. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I think it's a good game to get kids into, obviously, like at the youth level, because at that level, you don't have to know the X's and O's. Just send them out there.
Just kick and
run a bunch of energy off. And yes, it was 2007, 2008. So it would have been 2007 in the fall that year. T-Town actually, qualified for state. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Under Josh Cottrell. So there's,
okay. I just remember Jeremy Nieberge was on that team. He was a senior my first year helping at T-Town in basketball, and Jeremy made an all-state team.
Yep, he was a
great
real
kid.
Good player. He was a real good player, and I think St. Anthony they have at times had some pretty solid seasons.
They played for a sectional final actually when I was coaching basketball there. Still remember seeing Zach Bachler heading a goal in, and he's up in the air. Zach can get up, and he's like, his waist is above this kid's head.
Yep.
And he's heading in a goal. And I still remember Josh Cottrell actually brought their team to that. It was like Raymond Lincoln where they played the sectional. Brought it to a game there.
I was there.
You were probably there.
Yep.
That's not quite Glen Carbon, so you probably were hungry.
Yeah, I don't recall making any special dinner plans to go, but it was a chance to go to Raymond. I'd never been to Raymond before, so
I've been through there. I'm not sure why. I've driven through there a couple of times. They got a golf course right by the highway on the hill. That's all I remember.
So anyway, yep. There's been some success here and there for
there has, and it's good programs. And like I said, it's good. Soccer kids. I had a basketball coach once tell me he'd rather his basketball kids play soccer in the fall than run cross country, because everyone thinks they should run cross country. And he says soccer is better conditioning because it's more basketball related, a lot more short burst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, run until you throw up.
That's the thing, I can go out and run 4 or 5 miles and feel okay when I get done, but do some other strenuous activity that seems like it should be less taxing than that, but it's a different way, right? And it'll still mess me up a little bit. So it is just, it's about what your body gets used to. So I think there's a lot of merit for that.
You're speaking cross country. I believe sectionals may be, or regionals may be coming up possibly this weekend.
Yeah, it's about that time. It should be the state meet is November 5th. So you do the math.
Yeah, that's probably this week's regionals. And I don't miss, because when St. Anthony would host, when my daughter ran, I always volunteered to work in the puke chute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss that.
Yeah, it looks like regionals would be, yes, this next weekend on Saturday, and then
Okay.
and then
I don't know if
sectional.
St. Anthony, I don't know if they can still run out Mid-America anymore with all the changes made out there. So
Yeah, not sure about that. I'm looking at the 1A with the 1A assignments right now. Don't see.
I'll tell you, doing a sectional when it's warm,
Yeah, it's
not
not
a good
good.
combination.
Nope, lots of
Well, when I say it's warm, when it's 70 degrees, because it's late October and all of a sudden you have that 70-degree day and it's a little wet.
No, no, for sure, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned on this show before, but I ran a marathon one time, and it was the Illinois Marathon. So they do it in early April is when they run that thing. So we trained, my training partner and I trained all through the winter, right? Like January, February, March.
Yeah.
And that day, the day of the race, it was 72 degrees, something like that, which sounds perfect, right? But not when there was snow on the ground when you were doing a lot of your long
Right.
training runs. So, it was I definitely cramped up a little bit that day.
All right, Whitey,
Yeah.
true or false? I have ran 2 5Ks.
That's probably true.
Yes.
You've been around long enough that I could.
My daughter made me be her partner in a Girls on the Run.
Yeah, okay,
I
sure.
kind of got shamed into it up at Mattoon.
Yeah.
And never stopped, never walked.
What was your time? About 18 minutes, something like that?
I remember him here in 18 minutes while I was on the course.
Was that at the mile marker?
It was
First mile.
it was probably between it was close to mile marker 2.
Yeah.
I want to say I was in the third, like 31, 32 minutes.
That's okay. Hey,
there was no rush. And one of the good things about the Girls on the Run race in Charleston,
Mhm.
because I forget the course. You kind of started there by their Y and you went down around the Peterson Park and around the softball area and came back just a big loop.
Yeah.
But all the Eastern sororities were there, turned out supporting the girls along the race, cheering them on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt like they were cheering me on. So that helped. At one point, I asked my daughter if we needed to slow down and walk a bit. We could. And she goes, "No, I'm okay." I mean, it was really a rhetorical question, meaning, but somewhere I have a picture of her and I nearing the finish line, and she looks a lot more comfortable than I do.
Well, I'm guessing this doesn't happen at the Girls on the Run race, but on the Illinois Marathon, it goes through neighborhoods and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was offered, I think I was offered bacon at one place, and I was offered a beer along the course at one point.
I believe
too.
that.
Didn't take either person up, but I waited.
I have friends who've done half marathons, river to river. You got to be a little sadistic to run the river to river, I think.
I've heard about the river to river. I've heard that it's a challenge. Yeah.
I think they do take up offers of alcohol in that race sometimes.
Well, I think you might have to take some up to sign up for it.
I think the biggest problem with river to river is getting ran over by the team vans while you're running. It sounds like it's kind of a free for all.
All right, what else we got since we're doing our safe football?
All right, let's go into tennis. This is going to be, I apologize up front because I've been waiting on a text. So
that's
I haven't got
right.
it yet.
Well, we can save tennis for last.
Oh, that's all right. Let's go for it.
Okay.
I'm good at pleading. First off, St. Anthony won the girls sectional.
Yes.
That was here in town this weekend. I can actually tell you how many points they had. Just a second. Let me minimize the screen. They had 24 points. Catopoulos was second with 20. Then Robinson, then Effingham finished fourth with 12 points. Okay.
Okay.
And St. Anthony had 3 girls qualify. Emily Kowalski, and I apologize if I butchered that. She won the singles. She qualified to go to state. And then St. Anthony also had a doubles team. These glasses are killing me, Whitey. I don't think it's me. I think it's Mila Kinkler and Ellie Link.
Okay.
A couple of freshmen. They got second in doubles, so they qualify.
Mhm.
The Topless's team of Olivia Hemman and Anna Prupps won the doubles, so they qualify for state. And then Effingham got fourth. Elijah Woomer and Izzy Volpe. And I apologize to Miss Woomer because if I butchered her name, but they did qualify as well, so they're going to state.
Yeah, she's got an interesting spelling, and it's ALAI-JAI, correct?
Yeah.
And then Woomer.
Yeah,
Woomer,
I got the Woomer. I can do Woomer.
Yeah. Again, we could have
just said Miss Woomer and Miss Volpe, but I stepped up and tried.
Yep, it's all right. Hopefully somebody who knows her is listening, watching.
Maybe these phonetic screw ups will help drive viewers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can feel free to comment on the video and tell us exactly how to pronounce that. Let us know that you're paying attention, and that'd be fine. I can handle that. But regardless, it's I know that going to state in tennis, it's you get out of your sectional here locally, and then you go play up there, and you see some pretty impressive stiff competition, and it's not easy to advance real deep a lot of times, but it's a good experience, and if you do beat some people, you've done something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, getting points is the big thing. You get through a round or two, because at least now, when it's multiple classes, when it used to be one class, woo,
yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah, you run into. I remember you'd have kids running into some of the pretty big.
Well, people from the monster schools in Chicago that have 5,000 students, and these kids are, they play indoor tennis every day. So, yeah, we've had pretty good success over the years with kids going up there and getting points.
For sure.
So good luck to those ladies, and actually looks like the weather may cooperate, because it's, I know we're supposed to have low tonight of around 30, but I did see for the weekend, I think I saw we're going to peak at 70 degrees again.
Yep, gonna bump back.
It'd be nice, because I've heard stories of people going to state and tennis playing in the sleet and playing in being really miserable.
I'm okay with it, because if my memory serves me correctly, if we're going to be sitting outside to broadcast the Highland game.
Oh, really?
Friday night. If I don't know, things might change there, because they've got
a facility like Highland. They got you outside.
I forget. I just know we did a playoff game there not so long ago, and we definitely were outdoors for it. But they also got a new turf field apparently, so maybe there's some other improvements.
62, 70, and 75 Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
It's okay by me.
And I'm going to be probably close to 80. I'm going to the Ville this weekend.
Oh yeah, you're going down to Nashville, are
you?
Yep. NTC baseball, all conference. You want me to go through those?
Yeah, you have it probably up in front of you.
I do. First team and the most valuable player was Eli Levitt from St. Anthony, the NTC champion,
regular season and tournament champions.
Mason Robinson from Altamont got on there. No big surprise there. Logan Fleener from North Clay
finally made it.
Yep. Yeah,
I mean, we discussed that, I know, last year, but I was like, oh my God. But there was 47 seniors on that team.
Yeah.
And really, really good players, by the way.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's tough. Brock Fearday from St. Anthony got on there. Both Wittenbergs from Windsor Stew Straws, Austin and Jordan, both on there. Jared Hammer from Altamont, so a second Altamont player on the first team. Anthony Buonara from South Central, and Aiden Dodson from South Central. Aiden Dodson's been around the league for a long time as a baseball
player. He's like a 5-year senior, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's on there. Second team, Chase Thompson from South Central, Tyler Weatherall from Windsor Stew, Bo Adams, another St. Anthony kid, really good center fielder. Really good center fielder. Nathan Stimke from Altamont.
He's a catcher, isn't he?
Yeah, he catches. Noah Dill from Diederich. Alex Boos from North Clay. Get a Neoga kid in here, Malachi Stazak. Clayton Wojcik from CHBC. And then another Diederich kid, Pete Britton, gets on there. Speaking of guys who are fifth-year seniors, seventh-year seniors, I feel like Pete Britton's been around for a long time. He's been contributing to Diederich sports for what feels like ever. And then a few honorable mentions. Windsor Stew got Carter Cheney on there, Garrett Nieberge from Diederich, Dylan Elam from Altamont, Connor Repke, St. Anthony, and Will Haney from St. Anthony. So there you go. And Alan Witt, Altamont coach. Alan
Coach of the year.
Yep, he's your coach of the year. So there you go. Congrats to all those folks. Good job. And it's we've talked a few times about what a solid baseball conference the NTC is. So you get in that field and you've done something. And coaches who know the game, right? Like it's if you get recognized by that group of coaches, then also I think you've definitely done something to distinguish yourself. So there you go. There's your probably the last baseball talk, at least high school baseball talk that we'll have on here for a little bit. The NTC had its volleyball tournament this weekend. I haven't been able to track down results yet, so we'll hold off, see if I can't find out a little something about that. But there's another postseason that's going to.
I'm guessing it was Windsor Stew and St. Anthony in the final.
It seems like a pretty fair assumption, but we'll see what we can track down between now and next week. But other than that, I think that's the local stuff that we've got besides football to touch on. So it's just a matter of again, kind of a little recap of the Hearts game from this last week. They had Mater Dei come in, and your reaction.
And I was at the game.
Your yawn right there is a pretty good. Kind of describes the offense that Mater Dei was able to muster up against Effingham that night. And
hey,
high school kids, I'll put it, I'm going to put it out there. I'm not going to be too unkind, but I'm just going to say that I've seen Mater Dei come to Effingham, or we've gone to, Mater Dei for football for a long time now. And I just can't remember seeing a Mater Dei team that Effingham had such an easy time with.
They did, but they couldn't score. Mater Dei's defensive line had a couple big boys out there, and they limited the Hearts to they weren't running 7, 8, 9 yards a pop on the ground.
No. But
that was it. Now, did I send you the text with my witty comparison of the Mater Dei quarterback?
You did.
I was entertaining myself because the game was a little sluggish.
Yes.
And when he ran, if you've ever seen Hunter Pence run, he kind of runs like Woody from Toy Story. This kid ran kind of hyper and funny, like he had a sandwich in his shoe or something. And
17-0.
He looked like he had an awkward throwing motion, but he could throw it.
Yeah, he could get it downfield.
He could throw it, but the problem
let him throw it.
He never was comfortable because, several people were around him, but Michael Love was around him a lot.
Yeah, Michael Love is really, I know we talk about him all the time, but that's because he's flying around out there.
I'll tell you what, I was watching him because I was down at the north end zone, and he gets off the ball pretty quick.
Yeah, his reaction
as he gets. He's only a sophomore. As he gets stronger, or he can kind of start, as he's making that kind of that speed rush, turn that into a bull rush, and I like him. He plays aggressive. He plays excited. He deflected that pass they picked off. He had a good ball game, and the Hearts. Estrada had that missed field goal, and there was such a crosswind blowing right to left when he kicked that, and he was trying to kind of hook it in there just a little, and it would try, and then it just wouldn't go. I mean, he missed it by a foot. He just a foot off.
And that was a 35-yarder too. And I mean, it had it was plenty deep, right? Like he's got so much. I wish that they had just in a game that didn't mean anything. They just let him try like a 50-yarder just to see if he could do it. But every game means something. There's not enough. There's not really any garbage time, so to speak.
No, and it was the one he missed. It was almost like the snap, maybe it was just, when I say a little high, it was just, and he kind of hesitated just a second, just a split second.
It was probably the snap was probably head high to the hole.
Yeah, I mean, when I say high, they didn't have to jump to catch it, but it wasn't.
He did have to. He did. Yeah, he didn't get to just catch it. Put it
the
down.
holder had to get it about head high and then bring it down. And Armando, it almost looked like he just hesitated like a tenth of a second. The timing just looked off. He got plenty of leg on it, and again, probably a 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing out of the west. Goalposts were shaking. I guarantee you, when coaches watch their video off that off the big pole they have down there, because it was like back and forth. I mean, they're probably getting seasick. Oh, yeah.
But with the score 17-0, that Armando did get a field goal in there. So
Stu Straws won the volleyball over St. Anthony.
Well, okay.
So I'd get that in.
So it's just the NTC volleyball championship.
One of our many correspondents out there in the field.
But Estrada did hit the other field goal, like I said, 17-0 was the final, and that was his 5th of the season, which means that he's
the new record holder,
single season record holder. So to kind of recap that, he hit that 44-yarder earlier this year, which is the longest ever. 5 is a single season record, and if he were to make one more, he would even up with Michael Carey for the career.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Michael Carey had 4 in a season, and so did Mike DePoyster.
Yes, Michael Carey. I'm gonna get out my record book just to make sure, but I said that I read it off on the radio the other night, so I'm fairly.
I heard you
about that. Yeah, 6 for Michael.
Hey, Whitey, look for team interceptions in the season. See if that's still 1980 with like 22.
Team interceptions. I'm not. Most team 26. Yeah, 1980. Yep.
Hey, if it wasn't for me, that'd only be 25.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you have the interception, or did you tip?
Oh no, I had the interception.
Oh no, we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this not too long ago. I do remember you talked about that. Yeah.
I just, sometimes when you dust off the record book, I like to bring it up.
But modern day, defensively, they were working hard. I mean, they were on the field 3/4 of the time, and that's not.
And their kids, most of their kids went both ways. They don't have very many kids on the side. And my buddy from down there never texted me this week. He always texts me, so I didn't hear anything from him.
No, and they did limit the run. And speaking of sophomores, Weldon Dunstan has kind of transformed himself. He was going to be like the change of pace back at the beginning of the year. That was the plan for him. He was the burner that tries to find an edge every now and again.
Right.
And then John Westendorf gets hurt, and they tried Dunstan as the feature guy, and it didn't go so well, and he got dinged up a little bit. And
you tried him against
Muhammad. Yeah. But
hey, let's try him against the 85 Bears and see how he holds up.
But he ran 35 times Friday night.
That was a lot of carries, and he probably didn't have a run more than 4 or 5 yards.
He was, for the most part. It was a workman-like performance. I would say 98 yards. So it's not eye popping, but you carry the ball 30. Here's the thing: you carry the ball 35 times, and to my knowledge, they put the ball on the ground once, and that wasn't him. I don't think that wasn't on him. They didn't lose it, but the fumble was not Dunstan's. He's my point is, he's only a sophomore, and he is showing you that he can be the guy for the next couple of years if he stays healthy. You know, Spencer Fox was running the ball for a while. Well, now he's pretty much just a defender. Like they can just let him play.
Well, Weymouth's playing mostly defense as well.
Oh, that's Weymouth. That's what I meant. Yeah, Spencer Fox the same though. He ran a little bit at one point. I mean, they've tried 4 different running backs this year just because of injuries and
and tough to throw. Like I said, with the wind you had, but Pies threw some good balls. I'll tell you, and they should have had another touchdown in the first quarter. The deep ball, the receiver,
they had a home run ball that just didn't work.
Yeah, he looked like he downshift, missed second, going from third to fourth and hit second, and had that little hitch in his step, and just kind of came up short. But I tell you, nice tight spiral, nice angle, just dropping it in there. They ran a little end around one time with the Walls kid. I like that little wrinkle, and they ran. Was it a draw?
I'm not recalling which one you're talking about.
There was. Oh, it was kind of like a slip screen. It wasn't a true screen.
Yeah.
It was a little slip screen one time with the receiver kind of on a little, just a little slide pattern there. He just kind of slid in and got a nice little gain out of it. 7-8. But I'll tell you the play that it was 7-8 yards every time they threw it. Pontius would just turn and fire it out to the split end. And he's one-on-one with the kid, and he'd get 7 or 8 yards before they'd make the tackle. Yeah, they threw that probably three times in the first half, and it was 7 yards every time.
They throw the Caden Cobra line out of the backfield a lot too. And
but this was just tap, turn, and take the snap and zip it out, usually to the left side. And whoever
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know who the receiver was, but they would catch it and then just go and try to break that tackle, but they always got 7 or 8 yards.
And that's, I guess my point is just that they've got a couple of those like old reliable pass plays that work most of the time, So, I mean, the Lutz kid has distinguished himself as a receiver, I would say. Like he's able to get himself some space, but then they can do those little short passes where you just let your athletes be athletes and do most of the work. And they've got I don't know. The thing is, the reason that when we started talking about this game and I talked about how, it was a little anticlimactic and it's not that Effingham scored a bunch of points, but I think they could have played 8 quarters of football and that Hearts defense they just weren't going to allow Mater Dei to score.
I agree. They were doing, and, as I was leaving, I guess Mater Dei threw the touchdown pass on the second to last play of the game, and there was an offensive pass interference.
Yeah, and it was pretty obvious.
Negated it, but defensively they were doing a good job. Mater Dei when they tried to run it, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah,
Hearts just made it difficult. When the quarterback had a little time, when he was able to plant and throw, he wasn't bad.
No,
but he was rushed so much or just getting hammered.
Well, and they've also, my understanding is that they've had some injury issues at quarterbacks. They've had a couple of different guys play the position this year, and that's never good. You want to have some consistency at that position above all positions. If you're having to rotate guys in and out, it's it's just hard for the offense to find any rhythm after that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right there.
Well, I always am. So anyway, 5-3. Coach Hefner, again, in the post-game interview, seemed pretty certain that 5 wins was enough, no matter what happens.
A lot of playoff points, and I think they're kind of targeted for 4A?
Yeah.
They always used to be concerned about getting bumped clear up there, but I think their enrollment's just kind of gone far enough. They're kind of in the middle of 4A.
Yeah, I haven't had to worry. It's been probably a decade or more since we really had to worry about 5A being a thing for Effingham. But
I don't even know what their enrollment is.
Effingham's IHSA enrollment.
800? Are they over 8 still?
You're gonna know in just a second.
I'll say I could.
736.
Really?
Yeah. It's been north of 900 at some point in my memory of
I think when I was in high school was the biggest it was, because I don't know if it was over 900. If it's ever been over 9, I don't think so.
really? Okay, maybe.
We were right around 8, probably a smidge over 8.
I don't, I,
And
yeah,
that's when you look like 79, 80, 81, like when you go into high schools and see the picture of their seniors, those are the years that have the most kids in the picture. I don't care where you go. So that's the end of the boomer. We were the end of the boomers.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't, yeah, it's one of those deals. People don't have as many kids anymore. More people move away than used to, too, I think is part of it, but I think it's mostly just they don't have as many, so that's how it goes. My daughter here in Neoga, she's got, I don't know, maybe not even 40 kids in her class, and I think we had more than 70 when I graduated. So yeah, so anyway, Highland next week on the road for Effingham. Effingham's got one more week before that
Highland's 7-1, correct? Didn't they hammered Mascuda?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're good.
We have to mention a football score.
Is this going to be the Charleston one?
Charleston beating Mount Zion.
Yeah, in overtime, correct? Was it
I don't think it was overtime.
I don't think it was overtime. It just went down.
I think Charleston scored like with 14 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's what our world has become. Saturday morning, I went online to the Journal-Gazette Times Courier. I couldn't even find a score.
Yeah, the Journal, I don't think I know anyone left that works there anymore, so I could say this without hurting any feelings. Their website is the most useless thing. It's just
a copy of the Decatur Herald's with another name on it.
Well, and that's fine because the same company owns them, whatever. They're
right. I understand that.
They're having to pool resources at this point, and that's nobody at the local level's fault.
No,
that's what happens when you're part of a newspaper.
That's corporate and they're trying to save money.
Yeah, and I've been there too.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen how that works.
But yeah, there's two pretty good prominent papers in their day that are both nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, Charleston's won 3 in a row. I know both of the guys that do their radio. They're both WEIU guys that I work with, deal with at work a little bit. And so I sent them an email after the game and said, hey, I bet that was a lot of fun. Because Charleston's had some lean years, so they haven't had they haven't had that kind of fun on the air a lot, I would imagine. And of course, they were pretty excited and said that that's the first 3-game winning streak that they've had in 10 years.
Well, they had going back to Sean Hussey and the Causleys and that
exactly.
group, the group that got beat by Rochester in the semifinals.
Yep, they had just a great team that year, and it's been pretty thin since. Yeah, Highland, I'm looking now 7-1, and these point totals. 54, they scored 28 in their loss, okay, but 55, 61, 35, 65, 49, 56.
Who beat them, Whitey?
Edwardsville beat them by 3 points.
Edwardsville's pretty good.
Yeah, Edwardsville, speaking of enrollments, 23-26, 2,300 kids.
So is and Highland's balanced, aren't they? Run past, they're not just one way or the other.
I don't know. I haven't been able to delve much into them, but they have always in my what I've seen out of them is that they will definitely put the ball in the air, but they're not not singularly passing team. They're usually just big, they've usually just got a bunch of big guys. But it's going to be a load. Listen, it ain't going to be easy. I don't know what's going to happen, but
no. And here's the thing. I mean,
okay. See, I wasn't sure if Mike was. I wasn't sure if he was locked up or if he was deep in thought. But he's apparently his internet's frozen. So I'm going to pause the video real quick, and we'll get back to this in a second. Okay, we're back. Mike has gotten reconnected to the internet, and
we've been dealing a lot with our friends at MediaCom with our internet, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to go back in the ground. That's your problem. You're above ground, and it's too long a line." My internet dropped all weekend, pretty good sporting weekend, Whitey, watching baseball, football, college football, almost every hour, my internet would drop. I'm not happy.
I wouldn't be either. I've
No.
been there.
No.
I've been there with a different, well, no, I guess it was that company when I lived in Effingham. In Neoga,
no,
we had good luck with them.
Yeah, I had to, and I told them before they come and do the little trenching through my yard that I've been trying to fix all year for my sewer line and get back in place, that they have to call me before they dig through my yard. And I guarantee you they won't. So I did put flags around my, where I trenched my sump pump and all my downspouts through my yard. So if they cut through those, then we will have a lot of fun.
So anyway, I think we were wrapping up the Effingham Highland, talk.
Right.
Again, I don't think there's much to say. It's going to be a difficult game. Yeah, it's
a tall order, but the biggest thing is you don't have to go there and win to get in the playoffs.
right. Yeah.
So, you don't have anything to lose. You hang around and see what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Go out there and see if you can, see if you can get them on their back foot a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
6 wins get you a lot different opponent than 5.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I know that the goal is to make the playoffs. You just want, above all else, you want to say you're a playoff team. A lot of years that's, a lot of teams don't necessarily go into every season thinking we're going to win it all. We're going to,
right.
But you want to make the playoffs. You want to at least get in the dance. And it seems like the Hearts have done enough to do that. And so kudos to them. I'm sure they're very happy about it. But yeah, you'd prefer to somehow pull off this win here and get 6 wins and not have to go on the road and play the sort of team that you have to play when you're a 5-4 qualifier, because it's going to be somebody, it's going to be about as good an opponent as you can draw in that first round game,
Well, and if you go there and get beat, 3 of your losses are to teams that are ranked pretty high in their division. So
yeah,
the other was the Mount Zion game that was a real shootout. So, it was what it was.
Yep.
Good luck to the Hearts this Friday night going down there. I hope we'll be listening.
Yep.
I'll have my XEF app going as I don't know if I'll be still driving or not. I don't know what time we're leaving Friday.
But you look at it again, Effingham has shut out 3 teams this year, which is difficult to do. That's
right.
That's certainly a feather in their cap as well. The defense has been, there's been some games where they give up some points, but those have been, again, some awesome opponents. So
right.
So it's been a good year, and they have played really good football down the stretch, even in the loss to Mount Zion. Mount Zion, that's who's Mater Dei is going to play in week 9. So we'll see if the Breeze team can get themselves to 5 wins. I don't know if 5 wins will get them in or not, because they haven't had quite as strong a schedule. But
right.
Anyway, I think that.
Hey, when you were talking about just getting in the playoffs, was that were you wearing your Braves hat? Well, you said that, or I had to bring it up.
Here's my thing, and this is probably just going to sound like I'm just kind of coping, but I haven't been able to. I had just never was able to get myself worked up and nervous necessarily about.
You weren't as excited this year as you were last year.
Well, it's just that the people don't repeat. It doesn't happen very often.
Not very often.
22 years, I think, since the last time somebody did it.
Would have been the Yankees, probably. What, the mid-90s?
Yeah, it was the Yankees. And so, you're already mentally prepared for it not to go the same way, because in so many breaks have to go your way to get through the playoffs.
Yes.
And
it's like anything else. You have to get lucky.
You have to
every sport.
You have to have that line drive that somehow gets through Corey Seager, like Corey Seager makes that, I'm talking about the NLCS last year. They won a game on a play that, the guy probably makes 9 times out of 10. And it's just, you enjoy it and you have fun with it. And this series with Philadelphia was not fun at all. Like the Cardinals series with Philadelphia was also not fun at all.
Philadelphia's just kind of got an attitude like, we're just going to fight you.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I turned the game on, game 3, and you could hear that Philadelphia crowd. I was like, man, these guys are in trouble, because like that atmosphere is something else. They were pumped, well, and really Philadelphia is a team that it's a divisional rival for the Braves, but I can't really find it in myself to dislike the team that much. There's not really that much there that I don't, I really all the divisional teams I can say that about at this point, because I don't really dislike the Mets that much, as
Right.
a group of guys. So
now, speaking of atmosphere,
yes.
did you get to watch any of the Tennessee Alabama game?
No, I didn't get to see any of
Oh
that.
my, Whitey. Wow.
Tennessee won, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
On a last second knuckleball field goal from about 40. I thought it was tipped. It wasn't, tumbling. It looked like one of my passes from back in the day. It was bad. Because the guy standing on the white line behind the goalpost, the security guard caught it, dropped it, and then handed it to a cop. And then
I saw this because didn't the officials the
video? They sprinted out and they were gone.
Yeah, they got the hell out of there.
My!
Yeah,
I know they talked about it in on College Game Day that the SEC fines every school $100,000 if your students or if people storm the field. And then they were joking. They said, well, and they probably are going to have to, if they win this game, they're going to have to come up with another 15 grand to replace the goalpost, which they did. They both came down. They couldn't get them out of the stadium. So you know what they did?
What?
They walked them all the way up to the top and threw them over. And two of the goalposts or the uprights, I saw video of them being thrown in the Tennessee River by some UT students who may or may not have been served overly served, maybe.
Yeah. That's hard to believe.
It was, and I guess there's a tradition in this game about how the winning team how they're always smoking cigars, and supposedly Tennessee's had a big box of cigars for 15 years because they haven't won in the last 15 years. And the CBS reporter who interviewed Josh Heupel, I mean, if you call it an interview, they're both screaming at each other because you couldn't hear. She handed him a box of cigars, and the guys who were doing Gary Danielson and I know it's not Vern Lundquist anymore, who does them with him, but they kept commenting on the post game brief wrap up how you could smell the cigars in the air. They go, I don't even know how many people out there are smoking cigars right now. It was sheer pandemonium. The overhead pictures of that field, it was just orange they covered every inch of the lower level.
Well, you talk about $100,000 fines. Well, there's some private donor.
Peyton Manning, and I think Kenny Chesney's also an alum. They may just write the check.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got.
Peyton was at the game. I saw pictures of him.
But let's talk about an orange team that I actually care about a little bit for just a second.
Illinois. I watched that game first too. That was I got my chores done early Saturday morning. Watched the Illini, and I'll tell you what, Bielema, when he was at Wisconsin, he was I'll take 4 yards every carry, and I'm going to beat you. And that's what Illinois has become. And the DeVito kid is very efficient at throwing the ball. I think he can throw a lot if he has to. And their defense, those kids are hungry.
The defense is legit. But the run, listen, they've got a running back over 1,000 yards already.
Leads the country.
Yeah. So it's not like they're not Iowa. Okay. They're not, although that they certainly played like Iowa when they played an Iowa type game when they played Iowa, but I watched that Illinois game. I was very happy to watch it.
Beadle, remember last year he threw his offensive line under the bus about
Yes,
3/4
I
way
do.
through the season.
I do remember that.
And the kids who were still around, it sparked them because they played well the rest of the year.
Yep. Well,
And they always say when he was at Wisconsin, you wanted to go to the NFL's alignment, you should consider going to Wisconsin because they develop you. And I'll tell you, he's got a good O and a good D coordinator. They're going to lose one, if not both, at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are going to go somewhere. They're both commodities.
only loss came down to apparently
A controversial play. I didn't
against
see it.
Indiana.
I may have won a Gatorade on that game, but I didn't see it. But
we were listening to it on the radio because that was a Friday night game actually, and so we were
Yes.
listening to it on the radio on the way back from Muhammad, I do believe. So anyway, Illinois good at football, ranked for the first
14th?
time. Yeah,
Aren't they 14th now?
I don't know. They were 24th.
Maybe they're 18th.
They were 24th last week. I assume they moved up.
Yeah, they did. I saw it.
But that was the first time they'd been ranked in more than 10 years. So
yeah, I don't know how high they got. Hang on here, I'll tell you. Maybe. Yeah, I don't see it.
they're 18th.
18th. Okay, I knew it was 18th or 14th.
Yep, 18th, and hey, they're off next week, and then they've got to go to Nebraska, which I'll tell you, before Scott Frost got fired, I would have said that's a walkover game, but Nebraska's playing a lot better.
Yeah, they've done okay with their interim head coach.
Yeah, they've so we'll see. I don't know, but it's just interesting for.
But that's in Nebraska again. Illinois just got to keep winning because of who do they have after Nebraska? Michigan State.
Michigan State.
So that doesn't affect you at all in the West, even though Michigan State's really down. That's a school that may be rethinking backing up the Brinks truck because their coach, they gave him a lot of money. And then the Walker kid, he's graduated and they're not very good.
No, I think what they got a couple of wins this year. So they're struggling. All right. We done? Think we got a good cover?
I was nice to you about the Braves. I could have said more, but I won't.
Well, it's fine. It happens. They still, I still have some pretty good feelings about the season. So I'm a pretty even keel fan at this point. It's too much other stuff going on for me to get too up and down. Now, if they win the World Series, I'm going to be pretty excited. But if they wash out of the playoffs, well, I've seen that about 20 times in my life. So maybe 25.
Whitey, this week in earnest. Starting this week, it's Christmas tournament season.
Yeah.
Our pre-meeting, now we go full bore. It starts. I know. I saw your top. You're repping. I saw that. So yeah, we'll.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to some high school basketball. I'm ready for that season to start. I think
Michael O'Brien's been putting his little snippets out about teams, and
good.
He's he talked a lot about Lincoln Way.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's always a good experience to go over there and cover it, and should be another good year. Lots of people who care a lot putting it together, and that's the most important thing, is that you guys take a lot of pride in what you do. So
labor of love. How's that?
Yeah. Very good. Well, let's wrap it up.
Hey, one last thing. We got to give a shout out to Joey Trippiano. He's moved into 4th place in most views of an episode. And
yes,
I didn't realize there was that many family members out there. That's
pulled a few new subscribers out of the deal.
Pulled some new subscribers in on it. And
good. We may have to, maybe a formula we have to revisit sometime. So and he did a good job, to his credit.
Yes, he did.
Talking to a couple old weirdos, he held his own. So
yep.
All right, Mike. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you, Whitey.
All right, later.